Ebola. Parabola Ebola. So yesterday you guys saw how the conic section made the parabola by cutting that nice video that we watched.
With all the sound effects?
With the sound effects, it helped. But we're going to now look at the equations of them, and we're going to pick it apart. So the first equation for the parabola is x squared equals 4py.
Why are we getting p's and y's?
Well, I know. Well, the y we've always had. The p is new to us. And the p tells us our focus. So for when I have x squared, that means it's either going to be a smiley face or a frowny face. It goes up or it goes down. This dot right here, which he talked about a little bit in the video.
Like wherever line you draw in the video.
Right. And I didn't, actually, some of that stuff I didn't even know yesterday. I learned it with you guys. But what you need to know is this focus here. Oh my gosh, I spelled that wrong. This focus is 0p, 0 comma p. So that's where this p comes in here. It tells you where your focus is. And your parabola is always going to open toward the focus. So if it's 0 negative p, that means that it would be going down because it's always going toward the focus. And this dotted line here is called the directrix, which is going to be y equals negative p. So it's like a reflection. Here's the focus. Same distance down would be the directrix, which just shows that it's like a mirror image.
Math just makes up words.
Yes, yes. And letters and stuff. Okay, the other one. So I want you to have this on your notes. You're going to want this on your notes. Put your phone away. Yeah. Okay, now there's another one that changes your parabola a little bit. It'd be y squared equals 4px. And what that does for our parabola is it flips it to go either right or left. When you're y squared, it's going either right or left. With the x squared, it's going up or down. And just like the last one, we have a focus and we have a directrix. The focus, though, this time isn't 0 comma p. How would it change? P comma 0. Good. And the directrix here isn't y equals negative p. When it's straight up and down, what is it? X equals negative p. This is the reason why I'm telling you guys to take notes, because there's so many little things in this that you don't want to try to remember for this. Okay, so everybody has this stuff down?
Wait.
Can you see okay? Okay. What we're going to do today with this is I'm going to give you some information. We're going to write an equation. And then I'm going to give you an equation, and we're going to pick out the focus and write it in standard form. And then I'll let you guys work. I was going to do parabolas and ellipses today, but we're going to split each one up to have their own day since we have a short class today. Can I go now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here's your first example. You're going to want this stuff in front of you. Your first example is this. We're going to write an equation. And I'm going to give you this information. The vertex is at 0, 0. All of these are going to be at 0, 0. We're not going to shift these around left, right, up, or down. And I'm going to tell you the focus is the point 2, comma 0. This gives you a little bit of information. So we have to decide which equation we're using, either the x squared equation or the y squared equation. And the big hint comes from this point right here. If I have a focus, and you might want to, if you don't want to look back at your notes, you can just plot this point. If I have a focus at 2, 0, is this parabola going to open up, down, right, or left? Right. It's going to go to the right because it always opens toward the focus. So here's my vertex, here's my focus. I know if I wanted to draw in the directrix, it'd be here at x equals -2. And if I'm opening to the right, which equation am I using? The x squared or the y squared? The y squared.
Or is it y?
It's y. Y goes left or right. X squared, and here's how I remember this back when I first learned this. Everything we've done with parabolas up to now has either been a smiley face or a frowny face. That's all the parabolas we've dealt with, and that's always been y equals x squared. We've never had y squared. So the y squared is what changes our parabola. So I know
Where'd you get the x minus or x equals -2?
that's the directrix because it's opposite the focus. So I know I'm going to have y squared equals 4px. To write my equation, I need to fill in what the p is. What would the p be here with this information?
2.
It'd be 2 because your focus is p, comma, 0. So I'm going to plug in this 2 here. So I have y squared equals 4 times 2x. So my equation is y squared equals 8x.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
Wait, what's the answer?
Y squared equals
Okay,
8x.
so you always look at the focus
For the p. Focus is always either p0 or 0p. The reason I plotted this is because then it shows you which equation you're using, x squared or y squared, because your parabola is opening.
And what determines that? Like what determines what equation we use?
So if it's opening left or right, it'll be y squared. If it's opening up or down, it's going to be x squared.
So why are the other ones, like if you scroll up, like you put like the y equals -p for the one where the focus was going up?
Because it's opposite.
Oh, okay.
Do you
It's
have to have that?
No, I just showed you that graph because you're going to have somewhere you have to graph it.
Okay. Oh, so even on this, we don't have to be graphing it?
No, I only graphed this one because for me, when I did your homework, I always visualized where the focus was to determine what the graph was doing to tell me which equation to use. Left to right is y squared. Okay?
Wait, you said visualize what the focus is
Yeah,
to determine.
to determine which equation to use. Because your parabola always opens towards your focus. So if your focus is up here, it's going to be opening up. If your focus is down here, it's going to be opening down. And if it's on the left-hand side, it's going to be opening to the left. Okay, ready for another one?
Yeah.
See how different this stuff is? Aren't you
Right,
glad we're only doing one of them?
You
Okay.
have homework today?
Yeah, but it's not too bad. It's going to be more like what we're about to do here. Okay, I want you to find the focus of the parabola. And I'm going to give you this equation, y equals -2x squared. So this one is an x squared one. So I'm going to, over here, I'm going to write down just the x squared, the general x squared formula, which is x squared equals 4py. So we need to try to get into that form, x squared equals 4py, because once we get it into that form, I can pick out what the focus is because I'll know what the p is. So how am I going to get this x squared by itself? No,
Divided -2.
divided -2. It's already squared for you. We're not trying to get the x by itself. That's probably where your brain went. We're just trying to get this part by itself so it looks like this. Okay, so we're going to divide by -2 to the other side. I'm just going to flip this around so it looks like that. So I have x squared equals, and I'm going to make this -1/2 y instead of y over -2. Everybody with me? Okay, so if you notice, this number right here represents this part of our equation. So 4p is equal to -1/2. I need to figure out what p is so I can find what the focus is. First of all, I know the focus, this is x squared, so does this mean, is this going to open up, down, or right, left? Up or down, or right or left?
Wait, how do you know that?
It's up down.
Up, down, because it's x squared. That's what we said a minute ago. X squared,
I'd write
it's
that in your notes.
up or down. Y squared is left or right. So, I know that my focus is going to be 0, comma p, right? Because if you look back at your original notes, the very first notes, I have, with the x squared one, I have that the focus is 0, comma p. So I'm looking for what this p is, so I can write my focus. So I'm going to take 4p, and I'm going to set it equal to -1/2. Because 4p is equal to -1/2. Then we needed to solve for p, so we're going to divide by 4. When we divide by 4, we're really multiplying by 1/4. So p is equal to -1/8. Everybody good with that?
So because you can't, like, they can't just, like, be divided by 4.
Right, whenever you're dividing a fraction with a fraction or a number, you multiply by its reciprocal. So that means my equation is x squared equals 4 times -1/8 y. Where -1/8 is my p. So that means my focus, my answer to this is 0, -1/8. Exciting?
Oh, every time we do this is hard. I just know it's gonna be on.
That one you'll be shifting them around. I decided not to do that.
Wait, so is the answer the 0?
Yep, because you're just finding the focus. So 0p. Okay, let's grab a book and then we'll do the first one together. First one out of your homework. But if you want to add your homework, I think it's 11 through 24, page 367, 11 through 24.
That's a lot of problems.
Yeah, but we're not going to go over it on Monday. We're going to keep adding to this. But this is the only way to get good at this kind of stuff is just to practice it. So we'll start with number 11 together.
We're getting pretty far into this.
I know.
We're like right in the middle of it now.
Probably about right. Because we're actually probably more than half because the back has answers and stuff. Get out of red. Okay, so on number 11, it's telling you to find the vertex, which all of these vertices or all of these vertexes are going to be 0, 0 because we're not moving them, and the focus of the parabola and sketch its graph. So it's just kind of like the last one we just did. So number 11 is y equals 1/2 x squared. So this is an x squared equation. So my overall general equation is x squared equals 4py. So my first step is to get this x squared by itself. So I'm going to divide by 1/2. When I divide by 1/2, what am I really multiplying by? 2. So I have x squared equals 2y.
Wait, how do you? Oh, never mind.
So we need to take this 2, and that is equal to 4p, because we're looking for the p so we can know what the focus is. So I have 4p equals 2. So we divide by 4, p is equal to 2 over 4, or 1/2. So my equation is x squared equals 4 times 1/2 y.
Why'd you write that 4p above the 2? What does that mean?
That's this part of the equation, just like our last example, because it's 4py, and this just gave us 2y. So this 2 represents the 4p 4 times p. So I set the 4 times p equal to 2 to solve for p.
Oh, okay.
This is what most of these are going to be like on this section. So if I know that p is 1/2, let's go ahead and start sketching this graph. I'm out of room, sorry. So this is an x squared, so is this an up down or a left right?
Up, down.
Up down, because it's x squared. So my vertex is at 0, 0. My focus is going to be 0,
Wait, how do you
1/2.
know the vertex is at- oh, it's always at 0, 0.
For these we are, yep. So my focus is 0, 1/2, 0p. So this is going to open up like that.
Do we have to draw the dotted line?
No. But some of them, they give you the dotted line, and then you work. The opposite of that is your focus, and then you can write the equation. Okay? So, I'm going to let you try some of these. What time are we done? I opened this up. 2-hour late start, the second hour, 16. Okay, so you guys have about 12 minutes. I have worked everything out up here, so you can come check your work with mine. But you need to practice this today, because on Monday, we're going to go on to ellipses, which is totally different than these. I'll open up my work so you can see it.
Are we gonna have Y ones today?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I see some.
What's those?